Hey, glad people. We had a scathingly brilliant idea about this week's episode.
We're going to talk about a beloved actress of our childhoods, Hayley Mills. Probably yours too.
And we're drinking some pineapple black tea.
I feel like discovering that we both loved Hayley Mills movies was one of the first things we became friends over. And I actually think that that's a pretty common thing. There's something about, like, growing up in the 90s. I don't know, she had, like, a resurgence.
Yeah, maybe it was all those Disney VHS
Yeah,
tapes
all of her Disney films came out as part of a collection of VHS tapes. They had, like, the colored edges.
My sister and I watched Pollyanna all the time in our mom's closet. We lived in Dallas, don't ask.
Gosh, we watched all of them. That Darn Cat may have been our favorite one, because we're cat people. You were saying about the gender, gender comment.
Well, in The Parent Trap also, because you get her twice as twins, you get the tomboy twin, and then you get the kind of prim proper twin. So you get to explore all these different facets of what it means to be a girl, and sometimes that's not doing girly stuff. It's like digging up worms and sticking them in somebody's tent, and, you know, putting shaving cream on them. Like, they do just as many pranks as boys do.
Yeah, and, like, in the 90s, when we were children, we were getting, like, sort of this influx of boy movies, boys playing pranks on each other, boys doing boy stuff.
Like, Salute Your Shorts and Heavyweights, and there's a lot of,
like, even more serious ones, like,
Stand By Me.
Or like, you know, Sandlot. Everybody loves that one.
Even The Goonies does have 2 female characters in it, but it's about boys being friends.
Yeah.
And so many Hayley Mills movies, it's about girls being friends and sisters.
Yeah. She's so rarely, if ever, like, defined by her femininity.
Yeah. Even though she has a song called Femininity in one of her films.
And even in Pollyanna, where she looks like a literal doll the entire time. She's getting into scrapes. She's going through the woods. She's, like, hanging out with other kids and, like, doing stuff. And it has nothing to do with being a girl.
Yeah. It's really cool that, like, okay, so it's Hayley Mills, but she's in Disney movies. She's, like, a young teen. And we talked about, like, in The Parent Trap, you know, there's a whole sequence where they have a dance with boys. The girls can't meet what the boys can't. They have dance. And she talks about how she feels absolutely naked without her lipstick on. And it's like she's flirting with this guy, and at the same time, they're, like, pranking her, cutting her skirt away so that her bloomers are exposed, you know? She gets to be a girl. She gets to be a teen girl who's starting to explore some of her sexuality, but it's not sexualized.
Not at all.
But it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Because she's a teenager.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's a little sanitized for Disney.
For sure. Actually, I'm researching for this episode, which we sometimes do, believe it or not. I discovered that her first role was actually written for a boy.
Yeah, they wanted a boy, and then they found her because her dad was a famous actor, Sir John Mills, and so she was, like, around actors and productions a lot at the time, and they found her. And, you know, gender flipping is something we here on the show like a lot,
we're big proponents
we
of that.
Appreciate the fact that her first role was a gender flipped one.
But I think it speaks to, like, the image and the persona that she had and brought to all of her characters, that she wasn't defined by her gender. And in that way, she didn't become genderless or agendered. She just was able to explore, weirdly in the early 1960s in Disney movies, a greater breadth of what it means to be a girl.
Yeah, she was a girl who was also a kid.
Yeah. She
got to do kid stuff.
Yeah. And then, of course, there is The Trouble with Angels.
Oh.
Directed by Ida Lupino.
Another
co-starring Rosalind
best
Russell.
fave of the show.
Oh my god.
Best faves of the show.
I know this is also a huge fave of May's, who's no longer part of our show, but, like, man, there are some girls getting into some scrapes.
You know, it's like one of those movies where if you see it when you're coming of age, it changes you.
Yeah.
Like, it just does.
Because, like, I always wanted to be as daring as she is and come up with these scathingly brilliant ideas, but I totally knew I was her best friend.
Oh my gosh, when they put the cream on the face and, like, try and make a mask and like...
on Marvel Ann's
oh my God.
face.
There's something about that movie that really sticks with you as a kid because it just speaks to girls at that age trying very hard to become themselves and often like straining against.
And what a better setting for it than a Catholic girls' school.
Having Rosalind Russell, who has played some of the most scathing roles, being a mother superior.
I mean, that's like instant backstory for that character, but then the film really does explore. These nuns are people, really in the way that we experience teachers as we're coming of age. They seem to be these kind of faceless people that cease to exist as soon as they leave the classroom. But, you know, her character has so much past that she brings to her present. That's, oh my God, the conclusion of that film is like,
it's so beautiful.
So beautiful. It's like uplifting and heartbreaking at the same time. It's a film about female friendship. I mean,
and it was a movie she took after her contract at Disney was up to try and like sort of break out of the
clean Disney role. Yeah. In terms of child star trajectory, I feel like Hayley Mills is not the most horrific ending, but she did end up in an abusive relationship for about 5 years that sort of torpedoed her career.
However, her biggest adult role is going to be really familiar to children of the 80s and 90s. She was Miss Bliss in Good Morning, Miss Bliss, which is the sort of contested / apocryphal first season of Saved by the Bell.
Let's read Alexa Plays an Army Hayley Mills characters.
Yeah, characters, for sure.
I'd like to read her character Mary from A Trouble with Angels. She's got a lot of scathingly brilliant ideas. I'm sure maybe she hasn't written them down, but she should. You know who I would elect is actually Sharon and Susan. Both of them from The Parent Trap.
Yeah, totally.
As I don't know, some kind of elected team. President, vice president.
Yeah, and gosh, they're twins, so we wouldn't know. They could switch places.
That's a great concept. You can have that one for free.
I actually would give the army to, again, another character named Mary, but from In Search of the Castaways. She's so adventurous, and she's also so righteous. The villain of that story ends up being a rich white dude, shock of shocks, and he's trying to take advantage of people and make money off people, and, you know, like that kind of thing, and she ends up getting into trouble, and she's just really scrappy, and she ends up, like, hiking the mountains and, you know...
Give her some backup. I'm in. Thanks for watching. Join us next week.
We're going to talk about Moana and the history of Polynesian culture with Disney.
Oh, we want to be accurate, but we don't really want that in our movie. If you liked today's video, please like it. Hit the button. You can find us on Twitter at Angel City Sirens.
Comment, subscribe, pass the video on if you know any Hayley Mills fans.
We love to hear from you guys. And we'll see you soon.